The housing market these days almost feels like a game that's stacked against you, doesn't it? It's like putting your entire savings on the line in a giant, unstable Jenga tower, while someone keeps pulling pieces from the bottom just to watch it sway. Everywhere you look, people are warning about an impending crash, but no one seems to give clear answers on where it's already happening or how severe it might be. That's why today, we're packing up and heading straight into 10 U.S. cities where housing prices aren't just shaking a little. They're flashing signals that a serious collapse could be right around the corner. And we're not just talking minor dips here. In some neighborhoods, the numbers hint at drops as steep as 40%. This isn't speculation or rumor. It's what the newest data from Redfin and Zillow is quietly hinting at, and in some cases, practically shouting, right here in mid-2025. Whether you're trying to buy, thinking of selling, or simply bracing yourself to ride out the storm, you need this information before making your next move. And hey, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to World Discovery Canvas so you won't miss our next big breakdown. Number 10. Austin, Texas. You roll into Austin, the so-called live music capital of the world, and something feels off. The energy isn't the same electric buzz it used to be. It's more like watching a band finish their set in front of a half-empty club. From a distance, the skyline still shines with those sleek tech towers, but up close, there's a quietness creeping in. Parking doesn't feel like a battlefield anymore, and the traffic has thinned just enough to notice. On your drive, you catch a for sale sign that looks weathered, almost as if it's been waiting since last season. That gut feeling? Redfin's mid-2025 report backs it up. Home values here have already slipped about 10% year to date, with some neighborhoods sinking even deeper. Remember those chaotic bidding wars, the don't blink or you'll lose it days? Those are gone, replaced by a very different reality. Zillow's latest numbers show average time on market has jumped from just 25 days back in early 2022 to nearly 70 days by the end of Q2 2025. 70 days, that's 2.5 months where a house just sits there, racking up dust, mortgage payments, and second thoughts. Meanwhile, listings are piling up fast. The Austin Board of Realtors reports housing inventory is up 50% compared to this time last year. It feels like everyone tried to cash out at once, only to discover the buyers disappeared. A big piece of the puzzle is the silent tech exodus. As giants like Google and Meta leaned harder into remote work and others slashed budgets, the steady stream of high-income newcomers slowed to a trickle. That once insatiable demand collapsed, leaving behind a market overloaded with supply but starved of buyers. The affordability picture doesn't help either. At its peak, Austin's price-to-income ratio soared to nearly 8 times the median household income, well above the national average. And even now, homes remain out of reach for most locals. CoreLogic forecasts the overall market could slip another 5 to 8% by early 2026, but in certain investor-heavy pockets, especially neighborhoods tied to short-term rentals, the drop could be closer to 20%, as rising interest rates make holding costs brutal. It's the classic morning after scenario. The party's over, the music has stopped, and now everyone's left staring at the cleanup bill. What about you? Are you seeing early signs of this where you live? Number 9. Boise, Idaho. Leaving behind the Texas heat, you head northwest into the crisp, high desert air of Boise. Not too long ago, this city was the golden child of pandemic migration, the spot where remote workers and restless families flocked, sending housing prices soaring into the stratosphere. But the vibe today is different. Downtown, with its leafy streets and buzzing breweries, carries a quiet unease. For sale signs pepper the neighborhoods, some of them dangling bright red price-reduced banners that almost feel like surrender flags. It's as if the entire city is collectively holding its breath, waiting to see what happens next. Redfin's mid-2025 data paints the picture clearly. Median home prices in Boise are already down nearly 8% year over year, and the average listing now lingers for more than 80 days. 80 days. That's almost 3 months of refreshing your online listing, wondering if anyone will finally step up with an offer. The core issue? Boise got too hot, too fast. With the median home price still hovering near $500,000, the numbers simply don't line up with local wages. The price-to-income ratio here sits at about 7 times the median household income, an impossible stretch for most residents. The National Association of Realtors has a blunt warning about markets like this. When home prices race ahead without wage growth to back them, a correction is practically inevitable. It's like stacking a skyscraper on a foundation of sand. You can keep building higher, but eventually, it sinks. And demand? It's evaporated. Those out-of-state buyers who once rushed in with remote jobs and big city paychecks are either facing layoffs or rethinking whether Idaho was worth the premium. Local realtors, as reported by the Idaho Statesman, describe fewer showings, more price cuts, and a noticeable slowdown. Inventory, meanwhile, has surged over 30% in just a year, turning a once supply-starved market into a buffet no one seems eager to touch. CoreLogic projects another 5 to 10% slide in prices by early 2026 if interest rates stay high and the tech layoffs keep rippling outward. This isn't a dramatic collapse, not yet, but it does feel like the air is steadily seeping out of a very expensive balloon. So what do you think? Which market looks shakier right now? Austin or Boise? Number 8. Phoenix, Arizona. You leave the cool mountain air behind and drop straight into the desert, where the sun pounds relentlessly as you roll into Phoenix. But here, it's not just the weather that's scorching. The housing market itself feels like it's caught in a slow, painful meltdown. Stretches of stucco houses bake in the heat, many with fresh for sale signs planted in the yards, almost mocking the blistering temperatures. You half expect to see a mirage of eager buyers on the horizon, but the streets stay empty. Zillow's mid-2025 report lays it out. Across the greater Phoenix area, home values are down 9% year over year, with some zip codes closer to a 12% slide. Homes now sit on the market an average of 95 days. That's more than 3 months of waiting while your property becomes nothing more than an expensive reminder of fading demand. Once upon a time, Phoenix was an investor's paradise: flips, rentals, easy cash flow. But those days are history. Redfin's latest analysis shows investor purchases fell 35% in Q2 of 2025 compared to the year before. And we're not just talking small landlords here. Big institutional players who leveraged borrowed money to scoop up entire neighborhoods are now struggling under higher interest rates and weak demand. Quietly, they're unloading properties, creating a shadow inventory that doesn't always appear in the official stats but still pushes prices lower. It's like watching a high-stakes poker game where every player suddenly folds their hand. Then there's the heat itself, literally. Who wants to tour homes when it's 110 degrees outside and the monthly AC bill costs more than your car payment? Phoenix's economy is still expanding, sure, but it's not strong enough to absorb this flood of housing supply. CoreLogic forecasts another 7 to 11% correction by early 2026, especially among homes listed above the median price. The rent-to-price ratio has also flipped, making renting not just easier, but far more attractive than buying. Fewer buyers, more sellers, and inflated prices that can't hold. This market is straining under its own weight. So let me ask you, if your home suddenly lost 30% of its value, how would you react? Number 7. Stockton, California. You leave the blazing desert heat behind and head west, rolling into California's Central Valley. The air feels heavier here, quiet, but not in a peaceful way. Stockton has never been about coastal glamour or Silicon Valley glitz. It's a city that always seems to be climbing out of one setback or another. And now, it's staring down a housing market that's quietly caving in on itself. The streets look worn. Some storefronts sit empty. And while plenty of houses appear fine from the curb, behind those doors are financial stories unraveling in slow motion. Zillow's Q2 2025 data shows median home prices have dropped more than 11% compared to last year. Even worse, the average time on market? A staggering 110 days. That's nearly 4 months of waiting, hoping, and wondering if you'll ever find a buyer. But Stockton's housing struggles run deeper than just the latest numbers. For decades, this city functioned as a bedroom community for the Bay Area, a place to buy something affordable, even if it meant enduring a punishing commute. But remote work shifts, soaring fuel costs, and lifestyle changes have stripped away much of that appeal. Meanwhile, the local economy isn't offering much stability. The California Employment Development Department reports that unemployment in Stockton consistently runs higher than the state average. Fewer stable jobs mean fewer qualified buyers. It's like being tethered to a fading star. Once it burns out, you're left adrift. Then there are the other factors weighing down the market. Property taxes, while not the highest in California, sting harder when paired with falling home values. Crime rates, still above the national average, act like an invisible wall keeping potential newcomers from taking the plunge. The National Association of Realtors recently flagged Stockton as one of the 5 U.S. cities most at risk of a sharp correction in the next year, projecting an additional 8 to 15% price decline by early 2026. And the desperation is already visible. Redfin reports over 40% of active listings here have had to slash asking prices. This doesn't feel like a routine correction. It feels like a slow unraveling. A city quietly sinking while its residents hold their breath. Do you remember what Stockton neighborhoods felt like a decade ago? Because standing here today, it's hard to believe how much has changed. Number 6. Las Vegas, Nevada. From California's Central Valley, you cut across the desert until the neon glow of Las Vegas rises on the horizon. The Strip shines bright, the buffets stay endless, but behind the glitz, the housing market is dealing a losing hand. Out in the suburbs, you see mile after mile of planned communities, rows of houses that once promised buyers a piece of the American dream. Now, many of them wear a different face, for sale signs bleached by the desert sun, some hanging so long they look like permanent fixtures. Redfin's Q2 2025 data tells the story. In Las Vegas's investor-heavy zip codes, median home prices are down nearly 15% year over year, with certain submarkets plunging closer to 20%. The average home now sits unsold for about 120 days. That's nearly 4 months of waiting, hoping, and watching the clock tick. Vegas has always been a boom and bust city, powered by tourism, hospitality, and waves of outsiders chasing quick money. During the pandemic surge, investors swarmed in, buying up properties for short-term rentals and fast flips. But today, with interest rates high and new rules tightening the short-term rental market, many of those investors are folding their hands and heading for the exit. Zillow reports investor purchases have fallen by 40% compared to last year, a massive pullback. It's like the blackjack table flipped, and suddenly the dealer's holding all the aces. To make matters worse, the construction boom didn't stop. New builds that were greenlit during the frenzy are still being delivered, piling more inventory onto an already oversaturated market. According to the Las Vegas Review-Journal, builders are slashing prices, offering big incentives, even buying down interest rates just to keep sales moving. But all those discounts ripple outward, dragging down overall values. CoreLogic projects the broader Vegas market could fall another 10 to 18% by early 2026, especially if job growth in the all-important hospitality sector slows. And with the price-to-income ratio still sitting above 6 times the median, local affordability is almost impossible. This isn't just a market cooling down. It feels like the house always wins. And this time, it's homeowners who are paying the casino's bill. So what do you think? Is Las Vegas just dealing with a rough correction? Or are we staring at the opening act of a full-blown crash? Number 5. Jacksonville, Florida. You've made it out of the desert and into the Sunshine State, where the skies look clear, but the financial outlook is anything but. Our first Florida stop, Jacksonville. This city always feels like it's on the verge of breaking into something bigger, yet every time, it seems to stumble into a new set of problems. Drive through and you'll see brand new subdivisions stretching as far as the horizon, proof of relentless construction. But something feels off. Perfectly manicured homes sit vacant, quietly waiting for buyers who never show up. Redfin's mid-2025 analysis says prices here have already slipped about 7% year over year, with certain overbuilt neighborhoods sinking closer to 10 to 12%. But the real gut punch: homes now sit on the market for an average of 130 days. That's over 4 months of waiting, watching, and hoping while your investment just collects dust. And the biggest threat in Jacksonville isn't just oversupply, it's insurance. Not just high premiums, astronomical ones. According to the Florida Office of Insurance Regulation, Average homeowner insurance costs in the state jumped more than 40% in the past year alone. In Jacksonville, some residents report increases of 50%, 60%, even 70%. We're talking $5,000, $8,000, sometimes $10,000 a year just to keep your home covered against a hurricane that may or may not come. It's like being forced to buy a lottery ticket every year, except the jackpot is simply keeping your house safe. And remember, this hits single-family homes the hardest. These soaring costs are blowing up household budgets and forcing people to question whether homeownership is even worth the financial squeeze. Meanwhile, the building frenzy hasn't slowed. Developers kept hammering away during the boom, and now Zillow's latest supply data shows active listings in Jacksonville are up 18% compared to last year. That's a serious glut of homes sitting unsold. Pair that with a job market that's softening and migration that's no longer flooding in, and you've got the perfect recipe for houses sitting longer, prices drifting lower, and a market sinking into malaise. CoreLogic projects another 5 to 9% drop in Jacksonville's housing market by early 2026, especially for newer construction homes carrying sky-high insurance premiums. So let me ask you, if your insurance bill suddenly doubled overnight, would you tough it out or put the house on the market? Stick around, because Jacksonville is just the beginning. The next few Florida stops are where things really get wild. And if you're finding these insights helpful, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into the harsh realities of today's housing market. Number 4. Cape Coral, Florida. Heading southwest from Jacksonville, you dive deeper into Florida's heat and land in a place that feels like paradise rewritten, Cape Coral. At first glance, it's a hypnotic grid of canals stretching endlessly, with houses perched along the water. Some are sparkling and newly rebuilt, while others still carry scars, stubbornly unchanged since the last major storm. The air here seems to hum with memory. Hurricane Ian left its mark, and the financial aftershocks are still rattling through the city. Cape Coral isn't just a place. It's a living reminder of how quickly dreams of waterfront living can twist into nightmares. Zillow's mid-2025 report is brutal. Home prices are down more than 16% year over year, and distressed sales are on the rise. The average time to sell a home? A crushing 150 days. That's 5 months of waiting while your biggest asset just sits there, more anchor than investment. And unlike other markets, the problem here goes beyond high insurance premiums. The real crisis is no insurance at all. After Hurricane Ian, dozens of carriers either pulled out of Florida entirely or stopped writing policies in high-risk coastal zones like Cape Coral. The Florida Department of Financial Services confirms thousands of homeowners have been forced onto Citizens Property Insurance, the state's last resort option, an option that's facing its own solvency concerns. That means many houses here are effectively unmortgageable. A perfectly good home becomes nearly worthless if you can't insure it. It's like trying to own a car in America without being able to get auto insurance. Suddenly, the whole system falls apart. Population growth, once Cape Coral's engine, has slowed dramatically too. People are second-guessing whether sunshine is worth the annual hurricane gamble and the crushing costs that come with it. Investors are pulling back as well. Redfin's Q2 2025 numbers show a 45% year-over-year drop in investor activity. The math just doesn't make sense anymore. Looking ahead, CoreLogic forecasts an additional 10 to 20% decline in home values by early 2026, especially for flood-zone properties or storm-damaged homes still in need of repairs. This isn't just another correction. It feels like a reckoning. The bill for living on the edge of paradise has finally come due. Did we miss something on the ground? If you're in Cape Coral, drop your local numbers in the comments. We'd love to hear your story. Number 3. Miami, Florida. From Cape Coral's canals, you drive south into the glittering, sun-soaked spectacle that is Miami. On the surface, it's a city of wealth, luxury, and never-ending parties. But peel back the shimmer, and Miami's single-family housing market is caught in a dangerous tug-of-war with its high-rise condo cousins. You pass rows of multi-million-dollar homes, perfect lawns, towering palms, iron gates. Everything looks flawless, yet the quiet feels eerie, the kind of silence that tells you something expensive is about to break. Redfin's 2025 data shows single-family home prices across Miami-Dade have softened about 7% year over year. But in pockets dominated by cash-flush foreign investors, corrections are steeper, closer to 12 to 15%. The average days on market? A brutal 165 days. That's 5.5 months of waiting, watching, and wondering. Miami isn't like other U.S. cities. Its market is shaped by foreign capital, global investors, and a massive luxury condo pipeline. And according to the National Association of Realtors' Global Buyer Report, foreign investment has slowed dramatically. At the same time, condo inventory is swelling. Zillow reports a 14% jump over the last year. And here's the kicker. When the high-rise condo market starts to wobble, the shockwaves hit everything else, detached homes included. It's like a glass tower swaying in the wind, threatening to pull down the entire block with it. And then there's the insurance problem, a Miami twist on the same crisis hitting Jacksonville and Cape Coral. Flood insurance. With seas rising and storms intensifying, premiums are soaring even for houses nowhere near the shoreline. The First Street Foundation warns that rates could double or even triple for thousands of Miami homeowners in high-risk zones over the next decade. Pile that on top of already high property taxes, and affordability collapses fast. CoreLogic projects a further 10 to 15% decline for Miami's single-family homes by early 2026, with the steepest drops likely at the upper end of the market. Miami might sell itself as a playground for the rich, but for everyday homeowners, it's turning into a financial minefield. So let's put it this way. If you had $300,000 to work with, would you sink it into Miami real estate or head north to safer ground? Number 2, Northport, Florida. Leaving behind Miami's glittering but shaky skyline, you head northwest into a market that feels like a real estate disaster unfolding in slow motion. Northport. This city was once a magnet for retirees and families chasing affordable Florida living. Today, it feels more like a ghost town in the making. Drive the wide streets and you'll see row after row of new construction homes, many picture perfect on the outside, but beneath the surface, they're financial time bombs. For sale signs are everywhere, many plastered with desperate price cuts that tell you everything you need to know. Zillow's mid-2025 numbers confirm it. Median home prices here have cratered nearly 20% year over year, with certain pockets tumbling even further. And the average days on market? A crushing 185 days. That's over 6 months of waiting while your home gathers dust and bleeds equity. The biggest culprit here isn't just high insurance, it's flood insurance. And in Northport, it's become an existential threat. After Hurricane Ian, FEMA's updated flood maps and the rollout of NFIP's risk rating 2.0 sent premiums through the roof. Data from the Florida Office of Insurance Regulation and reporting from the Sarasota Herald-Tribune reveal some homeowners now face flood insurance bills ranging from $5,000 to $15,000 a year for houses that might only be worth $300,000. That's not a premium. That's a second mortgage. And for many, it makes owning a home here mathematically impossible. With costs exploding, buyer demand has collapsed. Who wants to purchase a property where the insurance bill is bigger than the tax bill? Investors have pulled back hard too. Redfin reports institutional purchases are down 50% year over year. Even the migration wave that once fueled the boom has reversed. Census Bureau estimates now show more people leaving than moving in. CoreLogic projects another 15 to 25% decline in values by early 2026, especially in moderate to high-risk flood zones, which make up a huge share of Northport's housing stock. Many of these homes are effectively unsellable, trapped in a financial quicksand with no easy way out. So here's the question. With numbers this grim, where do you think Northport's prices will be 12 months from now? Number 1, Lakeland, Florida. You've seen the pain. You've watched the price drops. But this is the final stop on our journey, the epicenter of America's housing crisis. Welcome to Lakeland, Florida, a market that doesn't just show cracks, it's staring into a canyon. Driving through feels surreal. Endless rows of nearly identical subdivisions stretch in every direction. Homes lined up like soldiers, waiting for a battle they can't possibly win. The quiet here isn't peaceful, it's ominous. The kind of silence that tells you a storm is about to hit. Zillow's mid-2025 report, combined with local MLS data, shows median prices in Lakeland's investor-heavy outer neighborhoods already down more than 20% year-over-year. But here's the gut punch. Fitch Ratings projects that by early 2026, some homes, especially those bought between 2020 and 2022, could plunge as much as 40%. That's a decade of equity erased in one brutal swing. How did it get this bad? During the pandemic boom, Lakeland became the perfect target. Cheap land between Tampa and Orlando, fueled by easy money and speculative builds. Investors swarmed in, chasing quick profits. But now, those same investors are drowning. Redfin's Q2 2025 data shows investor sales up a staggering 70% compared to last year. Not just selling, dumping, many at steep losses. And the oversupply is suffocating. Active listings have surged 90% year-over-year. Builders, still finishing projects started in the boom years, keep pumping more homes into a market that's already gasping for buyers. It's a supply tsunami crashing into a demand desert. Then comes Florida's insurance crisis. Lakeland may not sit on the coast, but it's still in the hurricane belt, and premiums have exploded. The Florida Office of Insurance Regulation reports average hikes of 60% year-over-year. Imagine paying $5,000 to $10,000 annually just to insure a $300,000 house. That's not a policy. That's a crushing weight on families already stretched thin. And the local economy isn't strong enough to carry this burden. Jobs here lean heavily on logistics and tourism, industries that wobble when interest rates and consumer spending fall. The price-to-income ratio remains wildly out of balance, making affordability more myth than reality. CoreLogic's updated forecast is blunt. If rates stay high and investor fire sales keep accelerating, Lakeland's newer subdivisions, especially those bought at peak prices with minimal down payments, are staring down the very real possibility of a catastrophic 40% collapse. This isn't a cooling market. It isn't even a correction. What's unfolding here is closer to a slow-motion implosion. So there you have it, 10 cities where America's housing market isn't just wobbling, it's bracing for impact. Along the way, we've uncovered the hidden costs, the disappearing demand, and the financial landmines of oversupply and insurance. This road trip wasn't just about stats, it was about truth. The harsh reality of what happens when speculation collides with reality. The pain is real, but so is the power of being informed. Now it's your turn. Do these numbers line up with what you're seeing on the ground? Is your city next in line? Share your thoughts, your warnings, and your survival stories in the comments. And if this deep dive into housing's hidden fractures opened your eyes, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe. Because trust me, what's coming next, you'll want to see.